Free, 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 free. Alright, but have you heard this one though? Death, death to the IDF. Death, death to the IDF. Death, death to the IDF. Death, death to the IDF.
Hello MV UK, it's Pete here. Welcome back to the channel, and words fail me. I cannot believe it, right? So literally less than 24 hours before I released my story, my update about Lucy Connolly, putting it on record where I am at with that case and what I feel about it. And ultimately, the whole moral of that story is free speech, right? Is the ability to say things and not be arrested for them because they upset somebody who is easily offended. We all know that offence is something you take, it's not given. So you just think about that. Anyway, as you saw from the intro, I cannot believe this Bob Vylan character. He's a villain, that's right. So let's call him the villain. Bear in mind, you know, how sensitive situation is at the moment with Israel, with the amount of wars on the amount of fronts that those brave soldiers and women, men and women soldiers from the IDF are facing, literally surrounded by hostility. You've got the Houthis firing in the missiles from the sea. You've got Hezbollah, which is pretty much eradicated now because of Mossad. Genius, by the way. You know, it's volatile. Now, the last thing we need here is some prat like this on stage gobbing off death to the IDF. That is absolutely ridiculous. Yes, he should be allowed free speech, but isn't that inciting hatred or inciting violence? You're actively saying do this to that group. Now, if I said that on my channel, bear in mind the views that I have and the media that I cover, I'd be hung up within 5 minutes. Honestly, you would be shut down in a heartbeat. Now, I think it's hilarious in the context of the wider situation, because the BBC have an exclusive coverage rights on Glastonbury. Hilarious, because what they decided, in lieu of their Irish rap band Kneecap currently being in court and in the proceedings of court for terrorism offences, for actively promoting paraphernalia of Hamas, which is a prescribed terrorist organisation. Anyway, they've said, right, we're not going to live stream this because it's obviously in court, very risky. So the act that we're on before Kneecap, this Bob Vylan character, as you can see here, let's just have another recap.
Free, 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 free. Alright, but have you heard this one though? Death, death to the IDF. Death, death to the IDF. Death, death to the IDF. Death, death to the IDF.
Okay, so you can see there he starts out with Free Palestine, which is obviously support to Hamas, a prescribed terrorist incident. So that should be in question by the police. But then goes on to incite violence with hatred. And that's okay. And at what point do we say that's not okay? Where are the police? Where are the feds? Where's the Met? Where's the everything? You know, this is not on. When are we going to have an end to this anti-Semitism that we see on the streets of London every single week, week in, week out? Obviously, they're taking a weekend off this weekend because they're all in the Glastonbury with the general unwashed. It's not on. It's not acceptable. Imagine it turned around and then people were spitting hatred and vileness towards Palestinians, Muslims, and that sort of thing. It wouldn't be tolerated. So why are we tolerating it the other way around? It just really drives me wild, this two-tier justice that we seem to have going on. Anyway, this was just a short video in absolute bemusement to my own self, that within 24 hours of me putting out a video based on Lucy Connolly fraudulently being imprisoned for saying hurty words on X, then deleting them and showing apology, just under 3 years in prison. And what does this guy get? Sweet fuck all. That's what he gets. Sorry, I swear, it's incensed me. Anyway, On that note, that's Pete from Envy UK. I'll see you on the next one. Have a great weekend.